This program provides education, not advice. Sponsors pay a fee for endorsements and interviews. See the truthayf.com disclosure page for details.
This is where technology, innovation, and personal finance come together.
This is the truth about your future with Rick Edelman.
Electricity, a big idea that's inspired countless new ones. From powering the light bulb to virtually powering our entire lives. 30 years ago, State Street launched the Spider S&P 500 ETF, SPY. A big idea that inspired the world to invest differently, and still does. What can you do with SPY?
Before investing, consider the fund's investment objectives, risks, charges, and expenses. Visit ssga.com for a prospectus containing this and other information. Read it carefully before investing. SPY is subject to risks similar to those of stocks. All ETFs are subject to risk, including possible loss of principal. Alps Distributors, Inc. Distributor.
It's Tuesday, July 9th. And Joe Biden, is he still trying to run for president? On today's show, colleges are closing at a rapid pace. 20 years ago, Newberry College in Boston had 5,300 students. This year, it had 600, and now they've announced they're closing. So there you are. If you're a student at Newberry, look at this. You took out student loans, but you're no longer a student. You've got to apply to another school. You'll likely miss at least one semester, and if you never get accepted anywhere, you still got to repay those loans. And even if you do get accepted somewhere else, you're going to have to retake your classes. A GAO report found that new schools reject 43% of the credits that students earned at the old school, even though they paid for them too. That means you're going to have to retake all those classes. This could take you an extra year or two. And that means even more student loans, more time to get a degree. So it's no surprise that when a college closes, more than half of their students drop out entirely. They never sign on to another college. I've been warning you about this for more than a decade. We've got fewer high school seniors now applying to college than any time in the past 30 years, partly because college now costs more than ever. There are now simply too many colleges and universities relative to the demand. So now, just as I've been warning you, we are now seeing on average one university or college close every week. Last year, colleges were closing at the rate of one a month, so the situation is getting more dire. 10% of the nation's colleges are in immediate financial peril, according to Ernst & Young, and you'll be the last to know. Colleges never reveal their financial status because if you knew their finances were weak, you wouldn't go there. And so the drop in enrollments would only hasten their collapse. So they keep it quiet. They hope they can figure out their problem, but in the end they can't, and then they close with no notice. And when I say no notice, I mean no notice. Of all the colleges that have closed in the past few years, 70% of them closed with no warning. And sorry, but I can't resist bringing this one up. One of the colleges that is closed is Burlington College in Vermont. College's president was Jane O'Meara Sanders. Her husband is Bernie Sanders. Students got 2 weeks' notice that college would be closing. And even the students who are lucky enough to be seniors, they get hurt too when the schools announce they're closing. Sure, you as a senior get to graduate. You made it just in time. You got in under the wire. Good for you. But when you go apply for a job, the interviewer says, "Where'd you go to college?" When they try to verify your degree, they discover that the college doesn't exist. So much for your job application. And it's not just the students who suffer when the colleges close. You suffer too as a taxpayer, because taxpayers are footing the bill when the student loans are forgiven for those kids whose colleges close. When ITT Tech folded, you and I paid off the $1.1 billion that Joe Biden said the kids never had to repay. So now when your kid starts looking at colleges, you need to start looking at those colleges' financial statements. As a financial advisor, you need to help your clients evaluate those colleges' financial health. Yeah, college is now even more complicated than ever, and it's going to get worse as more and more colleges fail. It's expected that over the next 15 years, half of them will be gone. Stay tuned. Coming up next here on the podcast, one of the questions that I got from a listener here to the podcast.
Support for The Truth About Your Future with Rick Edelman comes from Invesco QQQ. 25 years ago, Invesco QQQ rethought the investing landscape by providing access to the Nasdaq's 100 most innovative companies, all in one ETF. What's ahead for the next 25 years? Could it be flying cars, neural implants, electric planes? Nobody knows for sure. But one thing's for certain. You can gain access to that progress with Invesco QQQ ETF. Let's rethink possibility. There are risks when investing in ETFs, including possible loss of money. ETF risks are similar to those of stocks. Investments in the tech sector are subject to greater risk and more volatility than more diversified investments. The NASDAQ 100 Index comprises the 100 largest non-financial companies on the NASDAQ. You can't invest directly into an index. Before investing, consider the fund's investment objectives, risks, charges, and expenses. Visit Invesco.com for prospectus containing this information. Read it carefully before investing. Invesco Distributors, Inc.
I got a question from Richard of Maryland. Here's what he wrote.
I listened to your show when you were on WMAL. I was impressed with your recent Rowan University commencement address, including the poem crafted by ChatGPT. Excellent idea to actually demonstrate one of the 3 core technologies you espouse. I'm thinking there might be a niche market for personalized special occasion poems if they can be produced efficiently and of high quality. Thus, I am curious as to the effort required to create your masterpiece. Thanks in advance.
Yes, Richard, there is absolutely no question that ChatGPT, artificial intelligence, can in fact facilitate the production of creative works, and it is already happening. If you missed my show where I displayed the recording of my commencement address at Rowan University, the link to it is in the show notes. As part of my commencement address, I read a poem to the students, made them feel as though I wrote the poem. The punchline was that the poem was actually written by ChatGPT, which was the grand announcement at the end. The point I was making to the students is that you need to use and embrace technology because it can help you do a better job faster than you are likely to perform on your own. And Richard has a really fascinating idea here that he can create personalized special occasion poems with the support and assistance of ChatGPT for delivery to the audience. And yeah, you'd be amazed how often this is already in use. Recording artists are using ChatGPT to help them write songs. Book writers are using ChatGPT to write books. In fact, you'd be amazed, or maybe not, to know that in the category of teenage romance novels, which is a big category in the book publishing world, 40 of the top 100 selling books in that category last year were all written by AI. So there's no question that you can use this technology. It's being used in Hollywood to write scripts. It's being used on Broadway to help with the production of Broadway shows. So yeah, if you have the idea of creating a business that sells personalized special occasion poems to people, and you're using ChatGPT as a tool, yeah, I think that there's a business there. And I'll even go one step further. Not only can you use this technology for the writing of the content, you can also use this technology for the performance of this content. I've done that here on this podcast a couple of times for you, and links to those shows are in the show notes as well, where I recorded an entire podcast that was written by ChatGPT in my voice, and the audience had no idea until I made the disclosure at the end of the show. So you could, in other words, as part of your business model, Richard, not only have ChatGPT help you write those personalized special occasion poems, you could then get the voice of the customer and have the poem recited in that customer's voice. You could even do this with video now. Avatars are now able to be created that look like your customer. They upload their own videos or photographs, and you convert that to AI-induced avatars. So there's a lot of opportunity here, and this is a wonderful illustration and example of how new businesses are being created by humans, and they're being able to build their businesses with the support of this technological innovation. So pretty cool stuff. And if you want any proof that this is really cool stuff, the voice you heard when Richard asked his question wasn't Richard. Richard wrote that email to me, but that was not Richard's voice. That was 11 Labs, a software company that makes synthetic audio. We uploaded Richard's email to 11 Labs, and the software, the AI, produced a synthetic voice, and that's what you heard. Want to hear it again? Here it is.
I listened to your show when you were on WMAL. Hey, wait a minute. What do you mean I'm not real? Yes, I am. I'm not synthetic. I'm real. I'm Richard and I'm a real person. Don't tell people I'm not real. Answer my question. Who do you think you are? What are you doing? Wait, I want to talk to you. Don't cut me off.
I'll be back.
You can send me your question as well. Just send it to askrick@thetruthayf.com. The link is in the show notes. On tomorrow's show, sky-high housing costs. Guess who's buying all those houses?
Increased awareness and actionable intelligence about the forces that are shaping our world.
This is The Truth About Your Future with Rick Edelman.